Welcome to Come Get Woo Woo. We're your hosts, Becky and Ro, here to hold space for the unseen, the unspoken, and the deeply felt. This is a place for seekers, for those who sense that there's more, for those who hear between the words, feel beyond the room, and know without knowing why.
Together, we'll explore the language of spirit, the clarity of your clairs, and the signs that rise up when you're ready to notice. You're not imagining it, you're remembering it. This is Come Get Woo Woo.
What if the way you feel, sense, and receive intuitive messages was already written in the stars? Before we uncover how your clairs show up in your birth chart next week, let's explore the energetic foundation behind it all, your cosmic blueprint. Hey, woo-woo seekers. Welcome back to Come Get Woo-Woo with Becky and Ro. I'm Becky.
And I'm Ro. In this episode, we're laying the foundation. This is your crash course in the cosmic roadmap. We'll explore the signs, planets, and houses, what they mean, how they interact, and why this simple framework can radically shift how you see yourself. Before you can discover how your psychic gifts reveal themselves in your birth chart, you first need to understand the language your soul speaks. Astrology isn't about sun signs and horoscopes. It's a cosmic blueprint of your energetic design. Once you grasp these basics, you'll be ready to decode where your clairs live in your chart. That's coming up in next week's episode, Astrology Through the Clairs. And don't worry, folks, I'll do my best to keep Becky from going down any rabbit holes.
Nice.
Before we get started, grab your natal chart so you can follow along. If you don't have one yet, no worries. You can create a free chart at astro.com or astroseek.com. Just enter in your exact time, date, and place of birth for the most accurate result. So in astrology, your sun sign is based on the day you were born. Your moon sign is determined by the moon's position at your exact time of birth. And your rising sign or ascendant is the zodiac sign that was rising on the eastern horizon at that moment of birth. They're considered the big three in astrology because together they form a core blueprint of your personality. The sun shows your essence, the moon revealing your inner world, and the rising sign shaping how the energy is expressed and perceived by others. So, Becky, what are your big three?
Well, I have my sun is in Cancer, my moon is in Aries, and my rising sign is in Virgo.
Ooh.
What about you?
I have my sun sign in Libra, my rising sign in Libra, and my moon is in Sagittarius.
Ooh, nice.
So, Becky, do you want to dive deeper into the big three?
I am so glad you asked. But you're going to have to make sure that I stay on task.
I will.
Very likely that I can go off. Mm-hmm. So for decades, the sun, moon, and the rising signs have been referred to as the big three, or sometimes the three luminaries, since the sun and the moon are luminaries, not planets. However, there are some modern cultural adaptations that call the sun, moon, and rising signs the Holy Trinity. We will be referring to the sun, moon, and rising as the big three because that's where I'm comfortable with. So no big deal. So we'll begin with what's known as the big three, the sun, moon, and the rising. Even if you only know these three, you've already hold the key to your intuitive style. Your sun sign, what that represents is your core identity. So this is going to be your ego, your conscious will, how you express yourself overall in your psychic style, the way you direct intuitive energy with awareness. For an example, if you have a Leo sun, you might naturally radiate confidence and passion and channel intuition through creativity and performance, where a Virgo sun on the other hand, may receive intuitive insights through detail, structure, their subtle knowing of what needs to be organized or fixed. Does that make sense?
So far.
All right. So then you have your rising sign, or also referred to as your ascending or ascendant. This is the outer layer. This is the filter you project to the outside world. It's how others perceive you and your intuitive gifts. So the unique packaging and presentation of your energy. For example, if you're a Scorpio rising, people might sense your depth and mystery before they even speak to you, while a Gemini rising may come across as curious, quick-witted, and open to new ideas, always picking up intuitive hits through conversation or observation. On the other side, your moon sign will reveal your emotional world. So your subconscious, your memories, your intuitive processing center, if you will. The moon is the inner receiver, the quiet antenna that picks up and translates subtle spiritual impressions. For example, a Pisces moon may receive intuitive messages through dreams and strong empathy, while a Capricorn moon could rely on grounded and practical intuition, like that gut feeling that sometimes will work out if they stick to the same plan. So, Ro, do you want to kind of explain the elements to us that make up these natal charts?
Sure. Think of your birth chart as a great cosmic play. The planets are the characters, the what. Each one carries different energy or action. Mercury moves through thoughts and communication, while Neptune dissolves boundaries and opens the spiritual realms. The houses are the stages or the room where those energies play out. They're the where. They reveal areas of your life where planetary energy shows up, whether that's home, relationships, or career. And the signs are the costumes. They're the how. They color and flavor each planet's expression. For instance, Mars in Aries moves with direct fire and initiative, while Mars in Libra expresses drive through balance and partnership. So now that you have the basic structure, you can start to see how your chart forms your intuitive blueprint. So because understanding your element is one of the fastest ways to recognize your natural intuitive style. There are 12 zodiac signs, but they're grouped up into 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Your dominant elements reveal the flavor of your intuition, showing how you naturally receive and process spiritual information. Becky, now I know you're a Cancer and a water sign, but what does that mean?
Well, okay, so we'll go over different water signs. So the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, and they generally carry the gift of clairsentient or clear feeling. This is an element of pure emotion, empathy, and energetic depth. If you have a lot of water in your chart, your feelings are your compass. They're not just your emotions, they're accurate psychic information. You sense somebody's mood the moment that they walk into the room. You feel the energetic shift in the space before anything is said. So Cancer, like myself, might feel this through nurturing instincts, while Scorpio experiences this through powerful emotional downloads. Pisces will often absorb it all and channel energy through dreams or compassion.
The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. They align with claircognizance or clear knowing. This element radiates inspiration, conviction, and divine truth. If fire is strong in your chart, intuition often comes as a sudden certainty, those aha moments that need no proof. You just know. And Aries may act on that knowing before others even recognize what's happening, while Leo trusts intuitive nudges that come through creative passion or leadership. Sagittarius receives flashes of insight that connect the dots between the spiritual truth and the worldly wisdom. Next up, we have the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. They embody clairaudience or clear hearing. Air rules the mind, communication, and the subtle frequencies of spirit. If air is dominant for you, your intuition speaks in words, lyrics, or phrases. Messages may come through overheard conversations, repeating numbers, or even in your own voice as thought that feels just a bit too clear to ignore. Gemini might receive it through dialogue or journaling, and Libra through balance and attunement of others' voices, and Aquarius through higher guidance or channeling collective messages.
That last one's interesting because I know that Amy is very strong in her Aquarius and she channels a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and her channels are amazing.
They are.
Yeah. And the last category is actually the earth signs. So this is going to be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And they're going to be the most lined with clairvoyance or clear seeing. The element is grounded, structured, and deeply connected to the physical world. If earth is strong in your chart, your intuition often shows up in symbols, visions, and vivid dreams. You might notice patterns in nature, like seeing flashes of imagery in meditation or receiving intuitive insights through practical actions. So, Taurus might visualize beauty and harmony. A Virgo may receive messages through organized details, and a Capricorn grounds visions into the real world planes and success. I know I'm a Virgo rising, so for me, I get very detailed dreams, messages. So that works perfectly for me. Sometimes you'll have a blend of all of these elements in your chart, but pay attention to ones that dominate. It's your native intuitive language, the way spirit is most likely to communicate with you. One way that you can find this out is to just do, it's kind of a quick one. The fastest way to tell is to look at the elements of your big three. So check your sun, moon, and rising. To give you an example, what element comes up 2 or 3 times? What is more dominant? Somebody that has a sun in Leo, moon in Sagittarius, and a rising in Aquarius. So the dominant element is going to be fire because Leo and Sagittarius are both fire. Then I'll give you my example because I actually have 3 different. So for me, I have my sun is in Cancer, which is water. My moon is in Aries, which is fire. And my rising sign is a Virgo, which is an earth. So I've got one of each. So meaning that what we call a elemental trifecta. It's balanced blends of 3 different element energies. That means that I don't operate on just one clair channel. Instead, I bridge them together. And if anybody's listened to me talk, a lot of times I'm seeing and hearing all at the same time, or one of the two. So my water is going to be that deep emotional perception, which is clairsentience. That's that clear feeling. My fire is going to give me a intuitive action and inspiration. So that's claircognizance, which is clear knowing. And then my earth is going to give me that clairaudient or clairvoyance aspect of it. But if we were to boil it down, I don't have one dominant clair. They actually collaborate together. But if I wanted to choose one intuitive mode, it would be the claircognizance, which is that fire energy because it's the moon. The moon is going to be the strongest because that's where your emotions. This is where I get into the weeds. So Cancer is ruled by the moon. So my moon is Aries. So therefore, I have more of that fire energy. They kind of collaborate together. Did I lose you?
No.
Okay, good.
But I know I have my Libra sun and Libra rising both in air. And according to this, my strongest should be clairaudience, but that's not my strongest gift.
So this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated because we need calculations of the full chart. So there are elements that actually override that. Your dominant Claire doesn't match it. Your moon and your placement of your psychic planets like Neptune in your chart and Mercury often override your sun and your rising signs when it comes to psychic abilities. So, okay, let's just start with using Ro's chart. So Ro has a Libra sun and Libra rising, which should make her clairaudient be the stronger of her clairs. However, because Ro's moon is in Sagittarius, which is also a fire sign, and she has a planet, Venus, in the 12th house, which is traditionally a water house. So because of those two elements, your moon is your stronger of the elements. Does that make sense? That's why we have to do this. With that being said, that means that her clairsentient and claircognizance is her strongest clair, because water element is going to be clairsentient and claircognizance is going to be her fire element. Does that make sense? This is why we have to take a bigger look than the biggest three. Your sun and your rising might be the filter, but the planets and the houses are actually the true engine in your clairs.
Got it.
Not really, do you?
No, I do.
Okay.
Basically, we need to look at the full picture.
Correct. And anytime that you're looking at astrology, it's way more complex than just these. You can get a small little glimpse of what it should be. But if you want to dive deeper, which is what we're going to do next week.
Don't worry if your dominant element doesn't seem to match your strongest gift yet, like me. We are about to look at the planets, the true active forces in your chart, which absolutely clarify your unique experience. Planets represent what is driving the energy. Each one plays a role. But when it comes to your psychic blueprint, you are doing the heavy lifting. These are the ones that shape how your intuition comes through and where your spiritual strengths and blocks might appear. Let's start with the moon, your emotional and intuitive control center. So the moon rules your subconscious, instincts, and emotional body. This reflects your emotional needs and how to nurture and feel safe. Much like the phases of the moon, your emotions can ebb and flow, at times sailing along smoothly, and other times rafting in the rapids. It's also often tied with memory, intuition, and your private self. The moon, it rotates around the sun every 27.3 days. This is the planet that rules the sign of Cancer, and it's the primary receiver for your psychic energy, constantly processing energetic impressions beneath the surface. If you have strong moon placements or a lot of aspects to it, you're naturally tuned into clairsentience or clear feeling. You can sense when something's off, pick moods up instantly, and feel spirits' messages in your body before words even form. Does it matter what the phase of the moon is for the ebb and flow or rafting in the rapids? Is it like stronger with the new moon?
That's a really good question. Yeah, and I know we've talked about it before. So when you're dealing with a new moon, you're actually going to be dealing with kind of that new intention, this kind of like getting a new bike or starting a new routine. But when you're dealing with full moons, you're actually releasing energy. So, sometimes it's releasing people, sometimes it's releasing old habits or beliefs. Even with hairdressing, I've had clients that they do not get their hair cut on a full moon because it's about ending. So generally in their thought process, that the full moon actually creates more of a hindrance and things don't work out because it's about ending it. And they'll only get a cut on a new moon because that's starting a new look. Does that make sense?
So that's where the rafting and the rapids come in.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Now, what about retrogrades? I know the moon has nothing to do with retrogrades, but what's that about?
That's a really good question. So let's talk about what it means when you have a planet that has a little R or an RX added on to the back of it. This is what we call retrograde. So when the planet is retrograde in your birth chart, their energy flows inward, meaning you process this planet's lessons or intuitive expressions from the inside out. Think of it like driving down the highway. You pass another car, and for a second, it looks like that car is moving backwards, though you know that it's not. That's what retrograde is. It's just the perception.
So, what do you mean by processing it from the inside out? When you say Mercury retrograde, I think of all the computer stuff and all that failing because Mercury is in retrograde, as they say.
Right. So, okay. So these retrograde planets they're not blocking your gifts. They make you learn through lived experiences. That's what it means. So soul reviews, inner wisdom, all of that's going to come within, as opposed to when planet is retrograde by transit. That means that because everything's always moving. So that's what transits are. It's where it is currently. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like today versus what it was in your birth chart. It's
correct.
Two different things. Okay.
Correct. So say you were born in a Mercury retrograde. So you've always internalized everything, right? When it comes to communication and stuff like that, you internalize those types of things. But at the same time, when Mercury goes retrograde in transit, then the energy, everybody else is always feeling exactly the way you always feel, because they have to turn everything internally when it comes to spiritual gifts. I think that's a better explanation.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. So the planet's natural motion temporarily reverses from what we're used to. So your clairs and any intuitive channels tied to that planet may feel off, reversed, or highly sensitive until you adjust. That's exactly what you have to adjust. And some planets stay retrograde for a while. Some planets stay retrograde for a month, roughly. When somebody is born with a planet in retrograde, the planet's energy and intuitive channel, or clair, it governs, is already tuned inwardly by default. So when that same planet goes retrograde by transit, it doesn't block or confuse their clairs like it might other people. It actually activates, harmonizes, and heightens them because you're used to that energy. So it's empowering that energy. So retrogrades aren't bad. They're checkpoints. They help us notice what's not flowing, fix what's not in sync, and come together. You come out stronger on the other side of it. So this leads us to our planets.
And the first planet we're going to go over is Mercury. Like Becky said earlier, this is the planet of communication, intellect, and thought. This is how you process information, express your thoughts, and how you make sense of the world. This planet can indicate what kind of hobbies or influencing interests you might have. And it could also relate to travel, writing, and logic. Mercury now orbits the sun every 88 days. So this planet is the ruler of the signs of both Gemini and Virgo. Mercury is the translator, converting non-physical energy into something that the mind can understand. If your Mercury is strong or highly aspected, your intuitive information often arrives through clairaudience or claircognizance. You might hear words, lyrics, or messages in your mind, or just know something the moment it comes through. For example, if someone with a Mercury in Pisces might receive intuitive poetry or channel messages, while Mercury in Gemini might hear guidance as clear thoughts or phrases. So when Mercury is in retrograde in your natal chart, you think and intuit in unique ways. Your insights often come as sudden downloads or repeating thoughts rather than logical conclusions. You process information inwardly and may second guess before speaking. Over time, you learn that your inner voice is your truest guide. Do you want to go over Neptune?
Absolutely. Neptune is the planet of dreams, spirituality, unseen realms, imagination, and the mystical. It's a second generation planet, and it prides itself on blurring boundaries and restrictions. It basically, what it does is embraces chaos. And coincidentally, it rules confusion, illusion, addiction, and escapism. So it's going to show you where you seek transcendence and dissolve boundaries. The planet is the ruler of Pisces. It rotates around the sun every 165 years. It's considered your spiritual antenna. All of this makes it a powerhouse in clairvoyance or clear seeing. Neptune's influence brings prophetic dreams, symbolic visions, and intuitive imagination. If it's strong in your chart, you'll likely receive visual downloads and artistic inspiration straight from spirit. So if this planet is retrograde in your chart, you feel and see energy deeply, but with the need for grounding. So it can get a little spacey. This planet gives powerful psychic sensitivity, but life teaches you to separate intuition from imagination. You're meant to embody clear spiritual truth, not fantasy. Here's just a kind of a fun thing. My Neptune is retrograde when I was born. So, yeah.
Oh.
So you want to go over Saturn?
Yeah. So Saturn is a different kind of player. It represents structure, discipline, and fear in intuitive development. This planet generally governs structure, time, often referred as the planet of father time, karma, and life lessons. He teaches boundaries, patience, and mastery through mastery, teaching the lessons the hard way, making the victory that much sweeter. Saturn helps build a foundation that you can build on, developing self discipline and influencing our life structure. It's often associated with maturity, authority, and commitment. Saturn takes about 29.5 years to orbit the sun. It's also the ruler of both Capricorn and Aquarius. It acts as the block and the teacher. Saturn doesn't give psychic gifts, it tests them. Its placement shows where fear and doubt can restrict your flow and where mastery requires patience and consistency. Overcoming Saturn is part of your soul's training ground. When you learn its lessons, your gift becomes stronger and more grounded. Now, I have Saturn retrograde in my natal chart. So this placement carries wisdom beyond your years, but you may felt limited or unseen in early life. You're learning to trust your spiritual authority and create healthy, energetic boundaries, making your intuition strong, structured, and sustainable. Well, with 29.5 years, I wonder if that's like the Generation X years. We should be seen and not heard.
Maybe. They always talk about, the Saturn returns. Let me not go too far into the weeds, but Saturn returns always happen, generally about every 30 years. So a lot of people hit their 60s and they start doing the self-review, if you will. Yeah, just kind of a fun little fact. Yeah. Finally, we have Pluto. Pluto brings transformation, rebirth, and deep truths. This planet symbolizes a shadow work, power, and psychological depth. It is the last of the evolutional planets. It encourages large cultural change and where we experience power. It is associated with control, obsession, and regeneration. It is known for unearthing hidden treasures, whether it is a physical gem or a hidden truth, if you are willing to search to find it, though. That's the key. Pluto may be a small planet, but it gives the opportunity to the brave souls that are strong enough to venture in the intense and life-altering healing. It takes 248 years to make its full rotation around the sun, making it one of the very slowest planets. And that's why it creates generations that are affected by this placement. It rules the sign of Scorpio. Pluto is the investigator of the psychic world. When activated, it gifts you with X-ray vision, if you will, the ability to see what's hidden beneath the surface. Pluto enhances claircognizance, clairvoyance, helping you sense energetic movements, ancestral patterns, or emotional truths that others may miss. When Pluto is retrograde in your natal planet, you carry ancient wisdom and deep emotional awareness. Transformation begins inside. You feel collective energy before others do. This placement often awakens shadow healing gifts and the ability to sense truth beneath appearances. Wow. That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And not that these are lesser planets, but for what we're doing, they don't play as big of a role. Do you want to do those, Ro?
Sure. So the other planets are the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, and Uranus. They still play meaningful roles, but in terms of psychic development, they act more as amplifiers or filters. For example, the Sun can energize your intuitive confidence. Venus can bring sensitivity through love and connection. Mars may fuel your courage to act on intuition. And Jupiter can expand your gifts, and Uranus can bring sudden intuitive breakthroughs. So the Sun is your essence, your identity, ego, and insight to your life purpose. It is the ruler of the sign Leo. This is the core of who you are, and all other elements revolve around it. It is often associated with confidence, willpower, and creative energy. The who I am becoming, tied with claircognizance and soul identity. Venus is how you attract energy, rules love, beauty, pleasure, and harmonizes with others. It often governs relationships, romance, money, and aesthetics. Essentially, it's the influence planet of what we hold value in and how we are able to express it. This gives guidance on how we give and receive affection, enjoy life, and also checks and balances for our inner peace. And ruler both Taurus and Libra. It can show where you sense beauty and energetic resonance. And typically, this is clairvoyance and clairessence.
Oh, okay.
When Venus is in retrograde in your natal chart, you feel energy profoundly but protect your heart carefully. You may revisit themes of self-worth and emotional expression throughout life. Once healed, you become a compassionate empath who reads energy through vibration and tone, not just words. Ooh, do you want to go over Mars?
I certainly will. So Mars is where you assert your will and protect your energy field. It shows where boundaries and intuition in action live, also representing ambition, passion, physical energy, and desire. This governs how you show your courage and sexuality, often linked to competition, motivation, and how you handle conflict. It may also show you the areas where you push forward and add fuel to your desires and ambitions. It's the ruler of the sign of Aries. When Mars is retrograde in your natal chart, you act intuitively rather than impulsively. You might feel hesitation before taking action, but that pause allows spirit to guide your timing. You learn how to transform inner fire into focus, purposeful energy that mark the spiritual alchemist.
Oh, so that's very positive.
Yeah, actually, I agree. Until we started doing these, I never really looked at the purpose of the retrograde. You know, we talk about Mercury retrograde all the time because it happens is 3 to 4 times a year sometimes. But I've never thought about it, the rest of the planets. So I think I'm finding this very interesting myself. So then we have Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, faith, spiritual understanding. It's also about abundance, optimism, wisdom, and higher learning. Many times it is linked to good luck, prosperity, spirituality, and the desire to expand and embrace the unknown. It rules both Sagittarius and traditionally Pisces. It shows your intuitive optimism connected to divine timing. When Jupiter is retrograde in your natal chart, you gain intuitive insight through solitude, dreams, and reflection. Rather than external teachers, this is an internal. You've guided to trust your inner philosophy. The universe often reveals truth to you directly, not through other means or dogma. Deep inner vision fuels your spiritual growth. I can't remember. Do I have that one in my chart? I thought Jupiter was retrograde in my chart.
Oh, I don't know.
All right. We have one more planet left. Do you want to go over that one?
Sure. Uranus represents sudden insight, higher mind, and flashes of knowing. It also represents breakthroughs, sudden changes, originality, and let's not forget freedom. Uranus is traditionally tied to technology, innovation, disruption, and awakenings. Basically, asking to keep you growing, expanding our minds for bigger things to improve for the masses, where you break rules and seek your unique path. And it rules the sign of Aquarius, which is linked to claircognizance and intuitive innovation. When Uranus is in retrograde in your natal chart, your intuition operates like sudden electricity. Insights strike in solitude or when you're disconnected from the noise. You break patterns through inner awakening rather than outward rebellion. Authenticity is your psychic superpower. Together, these planetary forces create a unique intuitive fingerprint, the how, the where, and the why of how you tune into spirit. You can already see how powerful this map is. A strong Mercury connection can override a watery moon, which is why some people are born feeling a lot, but hearing messages very clearly.
So, Ro, to truly understand your gifts, you must look beyond the main planets, though. And the reason why we talk about this, because this can actually change the directive of what your clairs are. So the first one is, let's look at Chiron. And it's called the Wounded Healer. Chiron's placement shows where your deepest wounds become your medicine. For some empaths and healers, this is often the placement that reveals how empathy or your healing gifts or psychic awareness were forged through significant pain or through past life memory. It's the point in your chart where you realize that you were born to help others with the very thing that you had to heal for yourself. I think that one's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Chiron takes about 50 years to rotate the sun. It's actually an asteroid, if I remember right. And if it's retrograde in your natal chart, you transmute pain into empathy and understanding. Your intuitive gifts are often awakened through personal healing. Once integrated, your energy naturally heals and awakens others, even without words.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So then we have Lilith. So in astrology, Lilith, often referred to as Black Moon Lilith, but Ro and I went down a rabbit hole that we won't go into. That's for a different episode later, that there are many different phrases, but the one we're talking about, Black Moon Lilith. And this represents the wild, unapologetic side of the feminine spirit, the part of you that refuses to be silenced or controlled. It is not a planet, it's a mathematical point. Lilith symbolizes raw truth, independence, sexuality, and shadow power. The place in your chart where you reclaim your voice after you've been suppressed or misunderstood. Energetically, it reveals where hidden power, deep desire, and personal liberation begin. So Lilith embodies untamed intuition. It isn't the soft, measured kind of psychic sense. It is instinct in its purest form, the kind that doesn't wait for logic or permission. Lilith stirs the wild roots of your intuitive abilities, but resonates most with the lesser-known clairs, such as clairspatial awareness and clair transference. These are the senses that know what's real on a primal, embodied level, the ones that defy neat explanations. When Lilith is active in your chart, your intuition won't whisper. It growls, it nudges, and it knows. It reminds you that the most sacred truth lives in the parts of yourself you once tried to tame.
She's a badass.
She is a badass.
So finally, we have the lunar nodes, which are the karmic axis of your chart. We have the soul path and past life wisdom. The south node shows what you've already mastered. This placement is often tied to natural, innate psychic ability or past life sensitivity that you were born with. The north node is where your soul is growing toward in this life. It shows your developing intuitive expression and the spiritual skills that you are meant to integrate. Now, the other 2 points we're going to make are the part of fortune. It shows where you naturally experience joy, flow, and success. It's the sweet spot where your sun, moon, and rising energies work together in harmony. It shows where life feels easier when you're aligned with your true self, where joy and flow naturally amplify your intuitive connection, and the vertex marks fated encounters or soul contracts. These are the moments or people that feel destined, showing up to shift your path or awaken something aligned with your higher growth. It has a strong link to synchronicities and spiritual meetings that feel destined. So keep an eye on those.
You know, I have a funny story. So a friend of mine, I actually did her chart and so her vertex actually shows fifth house. Now, she is a teacher and she has 2 children, and both of those are her destiny. They are pivotal points in her life, is the birth of a child. It's really cool.
Yeah. I don't think we go over the part of fortune in the vertex in the next episode, but I don't know, maybe we should do something like that in the future.
I agree. And I think all of those, like the vertex and the part of fortune, what they are and why. Why are they important? Because they are important, just not on what we're talking about today. So in the future, we will. So we've met all the planets, the active forces that power your chart. Now let's place them on the map. So the houses are in 12 different segments of your birth chart, each representing a specific area of your life. Think of them as the 12 rooms in your soul's home. Every planet you have lands in one or more of these rooms, showing where that energy is most active and where your intuitive gifts express themselves. For example, if Neptune, the spiritual antenna, is in your 4th house, your spiritual energy is most active in your home life. You might sense spirits in your living space, feel comfortable with rituals at home, receive your strongest intuitive insights when you're alone or emotionally grounded.
Wow, now I want to know where my Neptune is.
I think mine's in the 4th house, if I remember right.
So each house has its own theme and psychic tone, which we will go more deeply into next week's episode, Astrology Through Your Clairs. What we wanted to give you was a better understanding on what each house is built on. So don't worry, we'll have future episodes that will go deeper than your clairs. And there won't be any tests after this.
Which is a good thing because I'd probably overthink the answers and write a paragraph instead of a little sentence. Here's your essay, ma'am. All right, so there you go.
Funny. So the first house is ruling both the self and physical body, associated with physical appearance, first impression, and self-image. This is where you can gain insight to your personal style, how others perceive you, and the roles you play in life, to your personal boundaries, behaviors, and instincts, making you the psychic antenna. You sense energy through your body, language, health, and overall presence. Now, the second house governs resources, values, and the physical senses, especially taste and smell. This is where you look to get a better understanding of what your talent or skills you can use to make money or find financial independence and income and earning power. It also helps point you in a direction of what you value in life or your budgeting and spending habits. When planets land here, clairgustance, clairtasting, and clairalience, clear smelling, become more pronounced. And intuition often links to physical comfort and material security. The third house governs communication and daily thoughts, language, and connections. It can give you insight to your thinking or learning patterns or your communication style. It also gives you clarity to how you relate to siblings and cousins or what kind of relationship you have with your neighbors. It's the home of clairaudience and claircognizance, showing you how to verbalize, process, and understand intuitive messages. So do you want to do some of the other houses?
Sure. Some of the other houses that don't have as big of an influence on your clairs would be the 5th house, which rules creativity, joy, intuition comes through play, art, or expression. Your inner child becomes the messenger. Your 6th house, this connects to work, health, and routine, links intuition to your body's signals, hunches, and gut reactions may arrive through physical sensation. Then you have the 7th house, which rules partnerships, amplifies intuition through one-on-one relationships. You'll often feel your partner's emotions or what somebody needs before they actually speak it. The 9th house governs higher wisdom and truth. This realm is the intuitive philosopher. Planets that are here heighten claircognizance, allowing you to download abstract truths and universal insight. 10th house rules career and public image. So intuition often guides your professional choices. So helping you sense what aligns for your purpose. Finally, the 11th house. The 11th house governs groups and community. connecting your intuition to the collective consciousness. You may receive insights about the greater good and sense energetic shifts in your social circles.
And there's what astrologers call the psychic triad. The three deeply sensitive water houses that form the intuitive backbone of any chart. It's the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th houses. If you have planets here, your life is fundamentally driven by spiritual awareness. So the 4th house represents emotional roots, ancestry, home, and your emotional foundation. This house will give you insight to things like the ways you seek emotional safety and security, and how you relate to your parents, caregivers, or even family traditions and your ancestors. This is traditionally held as the house of Cancer. It's the seat of the inner empath. Strong placements here connect your intuition to family lineage and ancestral energy, amplifying clairsentience in safe, familiar spaces. Now, the 8th house is all about transformation, shared resources, power, and hidden energies. It can represent transformation, death, and rebirth. Also, taboo, secrets, and hidden motivations. Many consider this house of shared resources, inheritances, and where legacies are formed. It is also the house of dreaded taxes and debts or control of manipulation. And lastly, the traditional home of Scorpio. It's the psychic investigator's domain. Planets here heighten clairvoyance and claircognizance, giving you X-ray vision into the truth beneath the surface. And finally, we have the 12th house, the house of dreams, the spirit realm, ending the collective unconscious. This is the house that governs your intuition and psychic sensitivity, forgiveness, and compassion. It also carries some heaviness like hidden enemies or self-sabotage or escapism and addiction. This is thought of as the traditional home for Pisces. This is where the veil between the worlds is thinnest. Planets in this house serve as a direct portals to spirit, granting vivid dreams, clairvoyance, and then channeled messages like clairaudience.
So I'm sure you're asking a very important question. Which is the most important, the planets or the houses? And the truth is, they actually work as a team. The planet shows what energy is moving. The house shows you where it's expressing itself. For instance, Mercury in the 12th house indicates somebody who naturally hears messages from guides or channels, divine information, which through writing or speeches. Now, if you've explored the players, which are the planets, the style, the elements and signs, and the location, the houses, it's time to move the final piece of the intuitive blueprint, the aspects, or the conversation happening between all of these energies. This is where clairs either flow easily or you get challenged into growth. Aspects are simply angles between planets in your birth chart. They reveal how those energies interact. So think of the chart as one big dinner party. The planets are the guests, and the aspects are the conversations happening between them. The angle between them tells you whether it's an easy chat, a deep debate, or a full-on argument that leads to growth. We divided these into two different main types. So the first type is hard aspects. So these are going to be your challenging conversations or sometimes full-on arguments. These are the conversations that push your buttons but help you grow. They aren't bad. They're just loud, demanding, and often your greatest teachers. So the first one is a square. So this is going to be considered a conflict. So this is two planets facing off in the corner, creating inner tension. For example, Neptune squares Mercury can feel like a psychic static. Your visions and your thoughts aren't on the same wavelength. Learning to translate the static into clarity can make you a powerful intuitive communicator. And then you have an opposition. So this is planets that sit across the table from each other, tugging you in the opposite direction. The goal is balance, like walking a tightrope between logic and intuition, self and others, action versus reflection. A conjunction is the fusion. Here, the planets merge into concentrated energy. It's intense. Neptune conjunct the moon can create deep empathy and psychic sensitivity, but boundaries can blur between your emotions and the emotions of others. Do you want to go ahead and with the other type of aspect?
Sure. So we have the soft aspects. So these are your easy, natural connections, energies that harmonize beautifully without much effort. The first one is the trine. This is the natural talent. This is your intuitive flow zone. The planets speak the same language, creating effortless gifts. If you have a trine between Mercury and Uranus, for example, inspiration sparks like lightning. You just know things before they're said. The next we have is the sextile, which is opportunity. So this is a friendly nudge from the universe. It's not as automatic as a trine. You have to engage with it. But when you do, it opens doors for new insights and intuitive experience. So the next time you see all those lines crisscrossing on your birth chart, remember the hard aspects show where your soul chose to stretch and grow, and the soft aspects show where your natural intuition flows with ease. So we have covered so much ground today. You have the essential vocabulary to understand your intuitive blueprint. So Becky, I love doing this episode, and we were supposed to record last night, but we were so busy going down rabbit holes.
Yes, we did.
So what are we doing for next week?
Well, now that they all know the legend of the map, it's time to read the map itself. So in our next episode, the Astrologies Through Your Clairs, we will take this fundamental knowledge and show you planetary placements, houses, and aspects in your chart to pinpoint some of the strongest psychic gifts. Whether you're a clear feeler, clear knower, or a clear seer, if you want to follow along, be sure to have your full birth chart for our next episode and be ready to look beyond your sun sign. But also, before you go, here are the 3 words for this week from the Woo Woo Seekers Journal, A Journey for Your Signs and Symbols, Book 1. We have courage, chapel, and bridge. See what rises, see what resonates. And you can listen to the guided meditations for these words on our YouTube channel at Woo Woo Seekers and find all the links to the journals, the podcast on our website, comegetwoowoo.com. Thank you.
Thanks for getting woo-woo with us today. If something sparked a memory, a message, or just made you smile, share it with a fellow seeker, because the journey is always better when you can grow together. Be sure to find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Woo Woo Seekers, so you can like, follow, and subscribe.
You can also follow us by visiting our website, comegetwoowoo.com. We are so much more than just another podcast. We're building a community of seekers just like us. We love hearing from you. If you've got signs, symbols, or stories that you want to share, email us at woowooseekers@gmail.com or any questions about today's episode, you can email us at comegetwoowoo@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and as always, come get woo-woo with us.